Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. I'm excited to get started again, mostly because it's a nice day outside. Whenever it's nice outside, I'm in a great mood when I come in here. Hey, make sure you put your company name in the chat. And Ruben, I'm glad to see you here because I get to do a little shout out for you a little later. Let me turn off the captions and I will get rocking and rolling. I do want to thank you. Those of you who are early and on time, I love that you do that. I really appreciate it. When you do, it lets LinkedIn put the word out to everybody else that the meeting has started and they should come rushing to us. But as a thank you for showing up early and on time, I wanted to give you a tip for success today related to government contracting and what you can do to move forward, especially moving into 2025. And so my tip for success today is don't keep your company a secret. Don't create marketing material, keep it a secret. Don't create your strategic plan that I'm going to talk about today and then not tell anybody about it. One of the most important things you can do is just let other people know what you're doing. More specifically, if I take that tip down to a tactical step, take your capability statement, refresh it going into 2025 here, right? Just look at it at the end of 2024 and make sure it's updated with any kind of past performance you might have or any changes to your core offering. Update it, give it a 2025 name, and then reach out to everybody you know. Hey, can I share my capability statement with you? We're going into 2025. I'd love to get on a call for 15 minutes to just tell you what we're up to. This is really helpful when you're talking about agency buyers. If you're already in the federal agency side, where you can reach out to them and get a 5 to 10 minute meeting, 15-minute meeting, where you can just let them know what you do. They're like, oh, I forgot that you did that service. I was just talking to somebody last night and this morning, and I was doubling down on AI, and they had to remind me that they did AI because I see them in a couple different ways. But when they reminded me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot. That's great. I got some AI things I'm thinking about doing. Let's talk. So that's the secret. I hate secrets. That's the tip for success for today, is don't keep yourself a secret. Okay. Welcome to everybody who's joining. Make sure you're putting your company name into the chat. Remember, in chat, separate out your kind of greeting and hello, and then what your company does, because it gives it little snapshots. Like, Betty right there, I'm looking at, says, looking to connect, right? By the way, if you're open to connecting, I'm assuming here on LinkedIn, right? Connect with Betty and others and let other people know that you're open to connecting. Okay, so let me go find my slides and I'm off to the races on the real training. Although that was real training, right? There's this great line about when was the best time, or when is the best time to plant an oak tree? And the answer is the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago. Give it more than enough time to grow. Big oak tree, strong, can withstand lightning strikes. People can climb on it, sit under it, whatever, right? 20 years ago was the best time to plant an oak tree. The second best time to plant the oak tree was today. Just go plant that tree and get started, and don't worry about the fact that it wasn't growing for the last 20 years. Let's start growing going forward. It's something similar to your business, right? When's the best time to plan for success in 2025? Well, really, the best time to plan for success in 2025 was 2023, so that the sales you do in 2024 will lead to your revenue in 2025. The second best time to plan for 2025 success, anybody guess? Yeah, it's today, right? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be diving down into planning for your success. When I originally did it, I said business plan, but really I'm not trying to talk about the business plan with a lot of extra junk. What I'm talking about is the sales part of it, a business plan, the sales planning that goes into your business that says, hey, I want this much revenue. Let me start planning it. I am going to be focusing and talking about 2025, but keep in mind the best time to plan for 2026's revenue is in 2024, so that in 2025 you do the sales and you go forward. All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you're looking to talk about that with me, just put 2025 rocks in the chat. I want to see a lot of chatter today because this is an exciting topic for me. You can't just let things happen to you, right? You got to make them happen. And I'm going to give you some tactical tips, but it's really important to remember that as you move forward, success is in your mind, right? Nobody is holding you down. There's things I can teach you and I can really give you good tactical tips, but you got to remember that you are deserving of success. You can build a company that will be successful in the federal market, but it takes you showing up and bringing that energy. Every day I bring the energy to you here. And I'm right here with you. I'm not going away in 2025. Every day at noon, I'll be here business days, but bring your energy and together with the tactics I teach, you'll be able to have success. All right, I'm going to break today's training and I'm going to go pretty fast, like I always do. I'm going to go pretty fast through 5 main areas, right? First thing I just want to talk about is this idea of one team, one plan, one goal, how I came about my recommendations for strategic planning. I look at a business plan and so many people make it many, many, many pages, and I put it onto one page. And so there's a reason behind that recommendation that I provide to you. And I really want you to pay attention to it because this is small business planning. It is not for big business. Big business build plans that investors can look at. Small businesses build plans that we can look at on a daily basis. So I want to start off with that, just this idea that I got from Ford, one team, one plan, one goal, really drive into that. And then I'm going to go through how to actually, the framework of breaking up your sales plan, your strategic sales plan for 2025. First thing I want to set is get you thinking about what do you want to make? How much money do you want to make? Then what do you sell? You might know what you sell. And I think some people might be putting it in, right? But if I look at your company and I see too many things, well, I want to talk to you about that. That's step 2. Step 3 and step 4, this is where we're going to be talking about how are you going to go make that money? So what's your plan to make money in subcontracting? And what's your plan to make money in prime contracting? If you don't know this, there's 3 ways to make money in the federal government. You can prime with an agency, you can subcontract with a small business, or subcontract with a large. All 3 are distinct, and so you want to plan for all 3 of them. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hopefully you're excited for it. I certainly am. I'm thinking about this planning even for my own customers, right? Okay, if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonough. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I'm CEO and co-founder of GovCon in a Box. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market after I got out of the Army as a small business government contractor. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. And this strategic plan is kind of part of that process as you go forward. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our Government Contracting Success newsletter here on LinkedIn. I put articles out a couple times a week. All of them get designed to help you succeed as a government contractor. And then tomorrow's training is already set. Let me turn my camera off so I can see. It's, how to attract federal buyers in 2025. And so make sure you register for that. As you're going into 2025, you don't want to just knock on their doors. You want to attract them to knock on your doors. And I'll talk about that as we go forward. Crystal, I love seeing that, right? We are deserving of success. If you hear me say something that sounds like somebody else should hear it, or we all should just repeat it back to ourselves, do me a favor, put that in the chat. I love coming back afterwards and seeing that kind of stuff. It really just inspires me to come back the next day. Hey, I wanted to congratulate the people who are in the Federal Visibility Score. Let me turn my camera off or just make it small there. The Federal Visibility Score is a score we created that is measuring how visible are you to the federal buyers in their tools, SAM, DSBS, etc. The government buyers looks in their tools to try to find you. If you're invisible, they can't find you, they can't buy from you. So the 100 Club are companies that are 100 that have 100 score on visibility with the federal buyer. Go to govconinterbox.com, find your company, click on your score, join. It's a free membership. Just I don't like sharing personal company information with everybody. I just share it with you. But so that's why I tell you to register. But click on it, and I give you step-by-step guidance on how to fix your federal visibility score. You should be in the 100 Club by the end of December, and I really want to help you. Inside of GovCon in a Box, you will have down in the bottom right hand, it says need help, just submit a ticket. Alex, Daria, Cecilia, me, Gus, others, we're here to respond to you. First, take a look at it, and then let us know if you need help. And then Nere Vu, am I saying that right? Ruben, Nere Vu Group, want to congratulate them. They joined the 100 Club in the last day or two. All right, let me come back up here. So let's talk about this whole idea of the strategic plan and where I got it, right? And when I say a strategic plan, and today I'm going to be heavily focusing on the sales part of a strategic plan, but I used to have multiple government contracting businesses. And my last one I had for 10 years. And when I look back honestly at what I was doing, there was multiple things I was doing on instinct. I had a lot of sales skills. And so a lot of what I was doing was executing from a salesperson's perspective. compared to government contracting. So that's why I now teach the process. I've really had 8 years here to understand it, lock it down. But I used to wing it. I used to go into the next year and just think to myself, well, I'm just going to look in SAM, go to an industry or vendor outreach session or look at the forecast, had access to GovWin. And so I was looking in those places and just kind of reacted to what I was seeing. But I wasn't really setting any kind of plan. In 2018, so I sold my company in 2017. 2018, I started the GovCon Chamber. When I started it, it actually was called the HubZone Chamber. And the purpose was to help HubZone businesses make way more money. In that first year, we helped HubZone small businesses make $3 billion more than the year before. This was a huge step forward. And the way we did it was I just taught them the process over and over again. I also taught them to stop complaining about the contracting officer and just do what we could do. And the big step that they took a lot of was responding to sources sought. But one of the things that I noticed was that we were all kind of operating, not just me, but a lot of the businesses I was finding, thousands, right? We're operating without any kind of real process. So I put in place a 7-step process for federal revenue success, and it lays out how do you go after the revenue. But once I started taking on customers in our BD workshop and we do some one-on-one consulting, once I started taking them on, I had customers that were large, smalls, getting ready to graduate to being a large business. And I was in there helping them from the sales standpoint. And I got engaged with this one particular company years ago when I realized how convoluted they were making the business planning process for the next year. It would take months of working. A lot of people would be contributing, and there'd be these debates and arguments, et cetera. And what I realized was no one's really agreeing. And then when it's done, no one's reading it and no one can remember it. And so that's when I put together this one-page strategic plan for actually it's a 5-year strategic plan on one page, but every year you can have a fresh version of it. So you're looking at it in a solid way, but it's designed to just go on the wall. So now this strategic plan, and this is what I'm going to show you right now. This strategic plan allows us to kind of have this one plan, one team, and one goal. We're all driving towards the same goal in the center, which is that revenue goal. We're doing it this way, one plan. And all of us have this strategic one-page plan on our wall. And so we're following the same plan together. It was really such an eye-opener for me years ago. And I've been teaching this for like 4 or 5 years now. And I really want to make sure you have it going into 2025. So let's start with step one. We're going into this. Feel free to write it down. Feel free to put in the chat if you want. But step one is determining how much money you want to make, frankly, right? I put here your financial goals. But the first thing you've got to do in the very center circle of your one-page strategic plan, and by the way, I'll show it another day. Right now, I really want to drive down on the meat of what needs to be on this plan. But your revenue goal, how much money do you want to make in 2025? So an example is I'm starting a new company called Nancy Co. I'll probably give it a different name. On January 1st, I'm going to do this on the side so I can show people yet again me starting and taking a company in 1 year to $1 million in revenue following the process I teach. I don't want to be just teaching you what I did 10 years ago or something. I want to come back and go, nope, I'm following my own process. I'm eating my own dog food, and here's me building a success. And so for me, my revenue goal is 1 million. Dead center, that's what I'm doing. Now, I say here, make it an ARR goal. And what I mean is an annual recurring revenue goal. That means every year I want to be making $1 million, basically. And if I just make that 1.2 million, it makes the math easier. Then what it means is if I'm billing out at $100,000 a month, if I've got so much business that I'm billing out $100,000 a month, then I am a $1.2 million ARR company. So I'm earning 1.2 million annual recurring revenue. I always encourage to do that because you're building to that goal instead of making it harder and harder to hit your goal. If your goal was to report to the IRS that you're doing that, it's a whole different training. But anyways, set your goal, make it realistic. Don't go astronomical. I'm making nothing. I want 5 million. I'm making 1 million. I'm going to grow to 5 million. Unless you've got some solid past performance, that's unrealistic. I don't want to crunch your hopes. What I want to do is to line it up. You can exceed goals, but you want to set the goals so they're realistic. And then when I set that goal at 1.2 million, like I said, now I've got my monthly goal. And I say to myself, okay, how many people do I need billable in order to be pulling in $100,000 a month, which is 1.2? First thing, set your financial goals. That revenue goal you're trying to get. Step 2, this one's very important. So by the way, when you think about, and I know I'm just describing it here, but that's okay because people listen on the podcast. You can see a picture of my strategic plan later. This is what I offer to customers on a high level. But the idea of the strategic plan, it's got a circle in the middle, and then it basically has 3 wedges that I'm going to talk about. So the first main wedge of this pie chart is talking about what do you sell? What do you offer? So if you're brand new, you don't want to go too far. You really want to narrow down your offer so that you have a clear, focused offer. We like to say riches are in the niches. What this means is if you can niche down, let's say instead of doing general construction, you're doing building construction, you're doing painting, you're doing trimming even, right? Or you're doing painting prep, not painting itself or something. Things like that. If you can narrow down, every time you come down, you're niching down. And the riches are in the niches, because when you get something that you're really good at, everybody begins to know who you are, and it makes it easier for you to find opportunities. The hardest thing you've got to fight when you're doing this exercise about what do I sell is FOMO, fear of missing out. If I don't say that I sell this and this and this, then I'm going to miss opportunities. That's a fallacy in our mindset. We're saying if we don't say we sell everything, we'll miss something. The reality is if you say you sell everything, people tell you they'll come back to you when they need everything. Right now, I need something, right? Right now, I need that one type thing. I need an expert at this. When you think about large primes and you're trying to work with them, large primes always look for smalls that got a solid niche. What are you guys best at? What can you contribute to our team on? So anyways, avoid FOMO and try to niche down. So here's an example that I have here just from this week. I was helping a customer who's in our BD Accelerator workshop plan for 2025 by narrowing their offer. They had actually kind of multiple areas, and we're narrowing it down, and they narrowed it down to ASL. This is American Sign Language, deaf and hard hearing, right? Communication, interpreting. And so when I narrowed it down with them, they were able to then really tighten up on a couple of things. Their proposal writing. It's very easy to create that reusable material. And then opportunities. They have already identified 50 opportunities in the next year that can lead to their revenue goals. You want to do that same thing. You want to niche down and go, look, if I say I do staffing, I'm going to say I do IT staffing. If I say I'm doing IT staffing, I'm going to come back and say I do SharePoint architects. We're the best. Or we can find AI TS cleared people, right? And the whole point is once you're in the door, then you go, by the way, we also hire security guards or whatever you want, right? There's no problem with expanding on existing customers. But when you're selling and you're planning for success, you need to niche it down. I put here that you want to be typecast. Oh, pigeonhole is another way to say it. You want people to go, oh, they're the SharePoint people. That's what they used to call us in my last company. They're the SharePoint people. Darn right we are. And we're the best. Microsoft owns SharePoint. We're better than they are at it, right? Because not only are we trained by them and certified by them, but we're very tight within the federal agencies. And you want to get to that same level. Okay, so that was step 2, was figuring out what you offer. Step 3, so remember you have a revenue goal that you set for 2025. That's your company goal. We want this much revenue. Hopefully you're only in the federal space. But if you're not, your first step is to sit there and say, well, how much commercial and how much federal revenue? You've got to make that determination. Don't go, well, we're winging it. Just pick a number right now. How much did you make in 23? How much did you make in 2024? Give it a decent sized bump for 2025, and there's your number. It does not take more than 5 minutes to figure out how much money you want to make in 2025, right? A reasonable, larger company, 20% growth is phenomenal. Right? So how hard is it to say 20% over this year? And so you want to look at that big number, the revenue goal for your company, split it for to identify what's the federal. And again, I hope you're only in the federal. And then the second thing you want to do is begin to look at how are you going to split that money within the federal market. In the federal market, there are 3 ways to make revenue. The first way is you can subcontract under small businesses that have prime contracts with agencies. The second way is you can get your own prime contract directly with an agency. And the third way is you can subcontract with a large business who has a prime contract with a federal agency. All 3 of those are a way to make money, and they're all distinct. And so you want to plan that out. You want to look at your federal revenue goal. Let's say it's 3 million, right? And then you want to break it up and go, well, how much of that is with each of those categories? If you're brand new, then all of your revenue goal is with subbing with small. don't go to the agency and don't go to larges. The chances of you winning there are far lower than teaming up with a small business who will bring you in. But if you got some traction, like many of my customers who are in the workshops, they're already in the federal agencies. So now you can split that 3 million. Let's say I want some in the small business, some in the large, and some in the prime. Let's just say you divvy it up 3 million, right? That's the way you can do it. It's not actually the way I do it. Like, I really look for that split across the board. But the biggest determination for you is how much can you realistically make priming of your total goal? And then think about the subcontracting. So I already said how much will you win in prime dollars, how much in subcontracting dollars. Oh, and then I already gave you the example of Nancy Co. And so when I do that, actually, because I have extensive experience, I'll probably target some larges as well. If you haven't been in this world before, then you don't want to do that. But I've got larges reaching out to me to help them find smalls. So it's okay for me to go knocking on their doors. But I'm not going to go knock on a federal door for two reasons. One is I don't want a prime contract. I want to show you subcontracting in 2025. But the other is I don't have any past performance in the federal market for this company, Nancy Co. I have experience. I have past performance in other companies, but I don't have any yet with this company. So this company, the first thing I do is build up the past performance as a subcontractor. So you need to determine, just reminder, you've got a revenue goal of whatever number. Where is that revenue coming from? Don't wonder about it. Determine it. Make that decision right now. Okay, so the next thing, the next two are about determining your subcontracting and then prime contracting plan. So if you think about in the center of my strategic plan, I've got my $5 million revenue goal for 2025. And then I sat there and had three wedges. One says, what do I sell? One says subcontracting, the other says priming. And I had taken these two, subcontracting and priming, and split that up now. Now I want to be able to say, I'm going to make this much money in subcontracting and this much in priming. So as I look at the subcontracting, I want to break it up further. And this is not like a bunch of paragraphs or something. Imagine just a pie chart, expanding a little bit. But the idea in subcontracting is there's two types of people I can sub with, smalls and larges. So if I just said that I've got a goal of $2 million in subbing and $3 million in priming, for example, if I've got $2 million in subcontracting, now I need to make the decision. How much of it will come from large and how much from small? If I'm brand new, it's all coming from small. If I've got some street cred that the larges will value, then I might go there. If I've got relationships, I might go more heavy on the larges. So those two groups, small business primes and large business primes, I want to determine my split. That $2 million, I might say 500,000 with smalls and 1.5 million with larges, right? Then the next level down is to sit there and say, for smalls, I want 8 strategic partners. I don't want 9. I don't want 7. I want 8 strategic partners. If I have 8 strategic partners going into 2025, then I'm going to be able to grow my business. And if I don't have it yet, that's fine. I say that I want that, and I'm going to go get that as fast as I can. But then I look in there and I start trying to put names under subcontracting small. So I want 2 hub zones, 2 women-owned, 2 8A, and 2 SDVOs. Yes, you can find companies that might be double tagged, but I recommend you find companies that are SDVO only or something, a little bit more aggressive, right? And so you want to spread that around. And this enables you to go after set-aside contracts. Remember I said we found all these sign language contracts. Well, a whole bunch of them were were primes with VA. And my customer's not an SDVO. These contracts go SDVO. Maybe they team up with an SDVO who's going after that work and tries to get 10, 20% of the work. Then the largest, what you want to do is determine which large companies in particular you're going to go after. If you're brand new and you're just getting rolling, you're not really going to know that. But once you've been around a little while, you should know which larges are the most likely for you. Not which ones are you in, but which ones are you determined to get in and get revenue from, right? As you grow your company, that's all of it. Large billion-dollar companies like Lockheed and Booz Allen come down and subcontract under smalls. We smalls need to make sure we're doing that same strategy of looking at everybody and every angle to get a federal dollar and make sure we have a thought behind it. Even a thought to say, I'm not going after it this year, but make sure you determine that thought. So on the large business wedge, I want to determine these larges. An example is with an IT consulting firm like I used to have, I'd be looking at Leidos, Accenture, Booz Allen type companies, right? And I can get in there and really build that business with them. Might take time, right? That's why you set your revenue goals. How likely is it that I can hit these revenue goals? So that's determining your subcontracting plan on your strategic plan. The next one is, and this is the last one on the strategic plan, you want to determine, and I might be missing my slides up a little bit. Hold on. Let me just check real quick. Number 3, number 4. Oh, so I've got some of my slide hidden. It just sucks. But here you want to determine your prime contracting plan. And so remember, we said split up your revenue goal from priming and subbing. If you have a total revenue, how much is coming from priming? How much is coming from subbing? Now, when we look at the prime wedge, I want to determine what departments am I getting revenue from? Most importantly, which departments am I planning to grow strategically over the next 1 to 5 years? You don't want many. So an example is, for me, I might strategically look at DOD and just say, I'm going after Army, Navy, Air Force, and Fourth Estate, right? And so Fourth Estate, if you don't know this, is anything that's not the first 3. So an example is DLA or DISA. We call those Fourth Estate type things. And so I might look at those, but I'm not going after more than 4. If I'm going after more than 4 departments, it's just a waste, because the next level down I'm going, like in the Navy, I'm going to say, well, in the Navy, where am I getting that revenue from? Which MAGCOM or they call them systems commands or buying commands in the Navy. So NAV-C, NAV-WAR, NAV-AIR, which ones are most likely for me? And I would choose NAV-WAR as an example. If I'm doing IT, I would choose NAV-FAC if I'm doing anything to do with supplies, logistic type stuff. And so I would determine that. And even on those, then I'm going to take the prime dollars and split it up among those 4 departments I just told you about. And sometimes when I'm looking at 2025, I might say I'm going after Fourth Estate and I'm going after Air Force, but not 2025. I want them there so I can see them, but I'm actually going after Army and Air Force. And Air Force, I want to be 75% of the revenue, and I'm not in the Army yet, so I want that to be 25%. I'm trying to break in. And then the same thing, when I go into the Air Force and the Army's commands, I'm like, well, I know I can get this much from LCMC as an example, or this command or that command in the Army or the Air Force. You want to break it down. But the idea is all of this can be on one page where you can just look at it and be able to see, here's the prime dollars I'm trying to pursue. This is who has the dollars that I want, right? And this is where I'm going. Over here on the other side of my wheel, I'm looking at where that money is coming from. Let me see really quick. I know I'm short on time, but let me see if I'm sorry I don't have the the wheel wedge showing, but I might write a business plan to let you, a newsletter article to let you see it, where I show the strategic wheel. This is my sales strategy plan that I put on the wall. It tells me everything about where I want to go to a company. And I think this next slide tells you what to do with it. Here's what I want you to remember, right? As you put this thing in place, first off, just remember, sales plans and success in the federal government, it's not complicated. There are tactics behind it, but you have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, you're going to be able to have the success. It just takes time to execute on the tactics you learn from me and others. But when you believe in yourself, you're going to go forward. And when you start going in that direction, you can put together a sales plan. It doesn't have to be rocket science. How much money do I want to make next year in 2025? Where's that money coming from? From prime contracting and subbing. What am I selling, right? What's the split between prime dollars and sub? You literally could do this in a day on a whiteboard. This is why I charge a lot of money for it for a little amount of my time, because it really is about putting it in place and then executing. The second thing is just do it now. You don't need to work with me to put a strategic sales plan in place. I provide all sorts of guidance. I've done this training before, so you can go watch that. I'm going to write a newsletter that tries to lay out the steps. Only work with me if you got enough money to afford me. But otherwise, this is why I do the training, so that you can do it yourself. Put a plan in place that you can execute on. And then put it in your, print it out, put it on the wall, whatever your wall is. I got a wall right there, right? And I would put it on the wall, and every single day, look at it, confirm it. I'm making this much money. I'm going here. What am I doing today to execute that plan? Not what am I responding to or reacting to here on my computer. So make sure you do it today. Don't forget to register for tomorrow's training if you want to figure out how to get buyers to find you. If you are interested in working with me, this is the last time I'm signing people up for our BD Accelerator workshop. It's a 90-day workshop for companies doing about 2 million plus. because there is an investment. But this is the last time we'll be doing it where we're working with your company. Going into 2025 after this cohort, we're going to switch over to a lot more tools that we can build that thousands of people can use. So if you're interested in the workshop, interested in working with me, put workshop in the chat and I will follow up. For all of us as we move forward, just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a plan. Wow, I'm tired. It's not a secret. It's just a process. Either way, it's all fun. I will see you in the next training.